What's going on, everybody? It's AG here. We should be live, I think. Should be working. Everybody hear me all right? All good? What we're going to be doing today, taking a preview of all the Thursday matchups. I was going to do an individual video for each and every one, but figured it'd be better and more efficient. Just go ahead and knock all of them out. So from Louisville, Creighton, starting off to whatever the last game is on Thursday, we're going to preview each and every one of them here. Talk about each and every one of them. I'll put a poll up for each game so you can vote on that while I move along. You can let me know who you think is going to win, all that good stuff. But we're going to go through every game. Starting on Thursday morning, looks like we've got Creighton, Louisville as the first game. So some brackets are going to be busted pretty quick with that one. I've done 2 brackets so far and picked one of each in both of them. But with that being said, let's go ahead and get started. Like I said, we're going to do every Thursday game. So every one of these games listed here, all 16 of them, we're about to break down. Join me down in the comment section. Comment your thoughts on these games. If you're not yet, hit that subscribe button for me. With that being said, let's go ahead and get started. All right, so Creighton, Louisville, pretty good matchup here. Louisville kind of underseeded. Let me put up this poll before I forget, though, real quick. One sec. It's been a little bit here. All right, let's see who wins. 1 second. There we go. All right, poll should be up. So while you're voting on that, I'll go ahead and break down this game. But pretty good matchup here. Louisville pretty underseeded, but they kind of got a good and bad draw. So they got a bad draw as far as being underseeded, but they got rewarded playing an hour away from their campus. Kind of screwed Auburn in the process, actually. But good matchup here. Creighton, though, has been here before. They've got some size. Kalkbrenner. Let's look at it a little more. Looks like Louisville is favored by 1.5 right now. Matchup predictor-wise, Creighton being picked 52% of the time. Leader-wise, though, you got Kalkbrenner doing pretty much all the dirty work for Creighton. Stephen Ashworth, pretty solid guard. Louisville has gone on a good run here lately. They're pretty hot out of the ACC, but the real question is how tough is the ACC? Hepburn kind of went off in that tournament. You got Edwards helping him out. Let's look at Creighton's schedule. Looking at their good wins, I mean, you've got, let's see, losses right here. San Diego State, A&M, both okay teams, not bad. Both in the tournament. A&M's pretty good. Bad loss to Nebraska. You've got a win over Kansas, lost to Alabama. See, a win over UConn, win over Marquette. So they haven't beaten St. John's, but they've beaten the other teams that are in the tournament from the Big East. So Xavier, Marquette, UConn. As for Louisville, big loss to Tennessee. Losses to Oklahoma, Ole Miss, Duke. Played with Ole Miss, though, so not bad there. Lost to Kentucky. So they've lost to a lot of teams that are in the tournament. Did beat Clemson, though. So the real question is, does it come down to home field or home court advantage here? How much does that impact the game? I think they're going to have a problem, stopping Kalkbrenner, though, down low. I think that might be an issue for them. This is pretty much a coin flip game, but originally I picked Louisville, but the more I dive into it, I think they're not going to be able to stop Kalkbrenner down low. So I'm going to actually go with Creighton here. I think Creighton gets the win, pulls the upset, but depends on, again, how big of a home court advantage is this, because it's pretty much a home game for Louisville. But give me Creighton in that one. Looks like you guys actually voted Louisville 66%. So differing on that one, but I would probably lean Creighton. All right, so let's see. Next game we've got is High Point and Purdue. Let me go ahead and pull this one up. This one I think could be one of the upset picks. It's one of the ones I'm picking right now, actually. Now, I haven't dove too much into the exacts of it, but from what I've seen, I think Purdue might be on upset alert. Now, they're led by Kaufman Renner and Braden Smith. Now, Braden Smith is an All-American this year, but they don't have the size down low they usually have against some of these teams. Talking about Purdue, usually they got a big guy. Looks like Purdue favored by 8.5 right now. Matchup predictor, Purdue being picked 80% of the time. High Point, 29-5. Let's look at High Point's schedule, see what they've done. 29-5. Let's see. Against tournament teams, they beat UAB, kind of a borderline bubble team. North Texas, same thing. That's a pretty solid win right there against North Texas, I would say. Close loss to Norfolk State, which is in the tournament. Other than that, though, really nothing against tournament teams. But a win over North Texas isn't bad, though, because North Texas is a team that was sort of on the bubble. As for Purdue, let's see, a win over Yale, which is a tournament team. Win over Alabama. That's a big win there. But these were all at the beginning of the year. Win over Ole Miss, tournament team, lost to Marquette. Penn State, lost to Auburn, lost to A&M. So a lot of losses, but not a lot of bad losses. Ohio State was on the bubble-ish. Indiana on the bubble. But again, time and time again, I think Matt Painter's kind of disappointed in the tournament. I'm actually going to lean High Point here. I think High Point gets the shock here. I think High Point gets the upset. So give me High Point in this one. This is one of the – I'm not picking too many upsets this year that I've seen, but this is one that I think could get kind of interesting. I think High Point could take them down, so give me High Point in that one. All right, next up we've got Wisconsin and Montana. Let's pull this one up real quick. I think I totally forgot to put up the poll for that one, so we'll put it up for this one. All right, let me put this one up real quick. Wisconsin. All right, poll should be up, I think. All right, so Montana and Wisconsin, same records, 25-9, 26-9. Let's see. Wisconsin favored by 17.5. Wisconsin did make the Big Ten championship, lost to Maryland. Actually, not Maryland, Michigan. 17.5 matchup predictor. Wisconsin picked 94% of the time. Now, the thing with Wisconsin is they are known to kind of be a no-show sometimes in the tournament lately. But let's look at Montana's schedule first. 30-point loss to Oregon. Yikes. 30-point loss to Tennessee. Double-digit loss to Utah State. Close loss to San Francisco. San Francisco was kind of on the bubble. All right, so it's not looking good. All right, close not a close loss to Oregon, Tennessee. It's not looking good. As for Wisconsin, they've got an All-American led by Tonje. Wins over Arizona, good Arizona team. Losses to Michigan, Marquette, Illinois, all tournament teams. Lost to UCLA, tournament team. So it doesn't look like they have a loss to a non-tournament team except for Penn State. I think Wisconsin probably going to be too much there. So give me, let's go Wisconsin now. I think Wisconsin shouldn't have any issues there. Sets up a pretty good matchup with Wisconsin and probably BYU in the next second round. But I think Wisconsin wins that one pretty easy. All right, so next matchup we have is Houston and whoever wins tonight. I don't think they're going to have any issues with that one, but let's go ahead and pull it up just in case. They're playing the winner of whoever wins tonight, I think, right? Or no, they don't have a play-in one. Never mind. They're playing SIU. All right, so SIU Edwardsville. Houston favored by 28.5. I don't know why I was thinking that was one of the play-in ones. It's not. Let's see. First off, let's see if they've played anybody of note. Let's see, 20-point loss to Indiana, 30-point loss to Illinois. Yeah, that's all I need to see. Houston's not going to have any issues here. Houston, now they do sometimes have issues reaching the national championship when they get there, but they're not going to have any issue in this round. We'll see in the second round. I still don't think they'll really have an issue till probably the Sweet 16. I think Clemson might could give them a run for their money, but Houston, they're not going to have any issues in the first round. They'll beat them easy. All right, so next up, the next 16 matchup is Auburn. That's the next one on the docket. I don't know why they put these 1s and 16s at the same time. It's so stupid. But Auburn not going to have an issue with whoever they play. It's going to be St. Francis or Alabama State, whichever one wins that one, either tonight or tomorrow. I don't know. I can't remember which one's playing when. But Auburn shouldn't have any issues with that one. Auburn should run the table. I know they've been kind of spotty lately, coming in not hot. I think they've lost 3 or 4. But they were the SEC regular season champions. They have a ton of good wins. When you get into those SEC tournaments, it kind of conference tournaments, they mean more to some teams than they do others. In particular, like Auburn, once you've sewn up the 1 seed, I don't see you having any issues. Like once you've sewn up the 1 seed, you're probably not going to care as much in the tournament. So I think that's kind of why Auburn has been slacking a little bit lately. But they'll be fine this round. But second round, they're going to have to turn it around a little bit. All right, so next matchup, let's look at McNeese State and Clemson. This is probably going to be a trendy upset pick. I think though I think McNeese was actually better last year, probably. But McNeese 27-6, Clemson 27-6. Let me pull up the poll for this one because y'all actually like this one. Let's see. All right, well, I'm putting this poll in here after I put it up. Y'all vote on that one. There we go. All right, so both coming in with the same record, 27-6. Looks like Clemson's favored by 7.5. Being picked 80% of the time. Clemson went on a pretty good run last year to, I think, the Elite Eight. So would not be shocked if they kind of go on a run again. I think they're going to spell trouble for that 1 seed in their bracket. Led by Chase Hunter, Shelfin, both guys that played last year. They did lose some guys, but they do have a lot of size. As for McNeese, let's look at their record, their schedule. Single-digit loss to Alabama, not bad at all. Lost to Liberty, which is in the tournament. We'll talk about them a little bit later. Went over, Louisiana. Lost to Mississippi State by 3. So no really tournament teams they've beaten. They did beat North Texas. That's a solid win. But I think Clemson might be a little too much. But let's look at Clemson's schedules just to check. Lost to Boise. Went over San Francisco. Both teams are on the bubble. Went over Kentucky. Overtime loss to Memphis and South Carolina. Louisville, tournament team. And then you can see the stretch right here in the ACC where they just went on a complete run. Beating Duke, beating North Carolina. Lost to Louisville twice, though. But other than that, took pretty good care of business. I like Clemson to kind of go on a run here. I think they're sort of a sleeper in this one. So give me Clemson here. I think McNeese State was better last year. I think Will Wade might already have his eye on the future as far as what job he's going to take after this one, whether it's Virginia, Texas, whatever. But I think Clemson wins that one, no problem. All right, VCU, BYU is the next one. Let's go ahead and pull this one up. This one's kind of a toss-up. A lot of these 11-6s usually are. VCU 28-6, BYU 24-9. BYU favored by 2.5, being picked 57% of the time. I'm trying to pause his ad. There we go. All right, VCU led by Shulga and Clark. Let's look at VCU's schedule. Not a lot, or not any tournament teams, actually, now I'm looking at it. Seton Hall, Nevada, Miami, not in the tournament. Colorado State, they beat Colorado State, lost to New Mexico. So there's their tournament action right there. Colorado State is getting hot right now, but at that time they weren't. New Mexico, though, they've been good all year. Now, as far as in their conference, they've got some tough competition. Dayton, George Mason, Loyola. Who was the other one? St. Joseph's this year. But so basically, tournament-wise, you've got a win over Colorado State, lost to New Mexico. And then looking at BYU out of the Big 12, pretty good year despite losing Mark Pope to Kentucky. Overtime loss to Ole Miss, lost to Providence. Bad stretch right here. Houston Tech, though, but both of them can play. But Houston did manhandle them a little bit, beat them by 30. Golly. Lost to Utah in overtime. Lost to Cincinnati, not a tournament team either. But this stretch right here, they get hot at the right time. So going into February, going into March, get hot. Beat Kansas, beat Arizona, beat Iowa State, but did get handled by Houston. So what is their ceiling is my question. I've heard a lot about BYU this year. I've heard they can play pretty good, but I don't know. I think this is going to be a toss-up game. I think this is a 50-50 one. I think VCU could take them down, but I'm going to lean BYU ever so slightly, but this is a game to watch. Give me BYU in this one. But this one is one of the many games, the 11-6s, that could go either way. All right, so next up we got a 9-8 matchup, Georgia and Gonzaga. Georgia, not really the hottest team in the country, but they actually did pretty good this season. Looks like Gonzaga's favored by 5.5. Matchup predictor, Gonzaga being picked 71% of the time. My bad, guys. Still getting a little sore. Now, Gonzaga, a lot of stuff is saying they're like top 10 metric-wise, top 10 team. I don't know. I haven't really seen that when I've watched them play. They lost St. Mary's multiple times this year, so I'm a little questionable on how good Gonzaga actually is. Georgia, led by Knoll. Let's look at their record, their resume. Let's see. 11-point loss to Marquette. They did beat St. John's. That's a big win over a good team. Beat a good Grand Canyon team, which is in the tournament. Let's see. Then SEC play, a lot of losses, but not a loss to anybody that's not in the tournament, it doesn't look like. Let's see. Ole Miss, Tennessee, Auburn. That's tournament teams. They beat Kentucky and Oklahoma. Beat Florida, one of the few teams to do that. Beat Texas, beat Vandy. So they have been playing good at times. I would not be shocked if they do beat Gonzaga. These 8-9s are usually toss-ups anyway, but let's look at Gonzaga's schedule. Went over Baylor, tournament team. Went over San Diego State. Went over Indiana. Lost to West Virginia. They should be in the tournament probably. Lost to Kentucky and UConn, but close losses. Lost to UCLA. But the real question mark for me, Gonzaga sometimes loses games out of conference, but in conference, they lost a lot of games. Oregon State, Santa Clara, St. Mary's. I mean, it's just questionable from what the usual thing is. Now, they beat San Francisco 3 times. San Francisco's a solid team, and they beat St. Mary's in the championship. But I don't know. This is the one that I'm not super high on Gonzaga, even though all the numbers and stuff is saying Gonzaga. I think Gonzaga's got the pedigree, though, so I think they win this one, but I would not be shocked if Georgia somehow dips Gonzaga. All right, so moving on to, let's see, the late slate of games. We've got Tennessee and Wofford. I like this Tennessee team this year, man. They won a pretty good run last year. They've got Zeigler back. Zeigler can play. I know they lost Dalton Connect, but I like this Tennessee team. I think they might have a good path to get to the Final Four. Looks like Tennessee favored by 18.5. Being picked 95% of the time. Tennessee coming in at 27-7. Wofford 19-15. Let's look at Wofford's schedule. See if they play anybody in the tournament. Let's see. Lost to Lipscomb, which is in the tournament. Lost by 50 to Duke. Yeah, they got too many losses here. They're not going to have any issue. Tennessee's going to win this one pretty handily, I think. Zeigler and Lanier can play, man. Tennessee is a team to watch. If you're looking for kind of not a number 1 seed to make the Final Four, I think Tennessee's a good bet. They've got a good draw. We'll look at the bracket here once we're done with this. But they've got a good draw, I think. And I think they can go on a run here. All right, next up, let's look at Arkansas and Kansas. Let's see. All right, so Kansas, if you remember, preseason number 1 this year and have not lived up to that, obviously. But Kansas comes in at 21-12, a lot of losses in Big 12 play. Arkansas 20-13, barely squeaks in the tournament. Kansas favored by 4.5. Kansas being picked 71% of the time. Let's look at Arkansas's schedule here. Probably not a lot to love. Went over Lipscomb and Troy, which are in the tournament. Lost to Baylor, Illinois, beat Michigan. Pretty handled loss to Tennessee, Ole Miss. Now, they were trying to flash like Boogie Flan coming back as a flex, but I don't think they won an SEC game when he was playing. They even lost to LSU, which is not a good team this year. Beat Kentucky, beat Texas, beat Missouri, beat Texas again, Vanderbilt, Mississippi State. So really Arkansas hasn't beat anybody super great. Their best one's probably Mississippi State. Well, maybe Kentucky. I'll give them the Kentucky one. But Kentucky's been banged up all year. As for Kansas, they started strong, but it didn't really last. Wins over Michigan State and North Carolina, wins over Duke, lost to Creighton, Missouri. Big 12 play, win-wise, I don't think they ever beat Houston. No, they didn't beat Houston. They beat Arizona, beat Iowa State, but never beat Tech or Houston. I think Kansas is a little too much, and they're at least consistent. I know they're kind of up and down this year, but as far as I think they have enough depth here with their main guys. They've been here before. They've got starters that still were there that year. They went to the national championship not too long ago. Arkansas with John Calipari, you never know what you're going to get in the first round. Could throw up a stinker, could go on a run. I think Kansas wins this one, though. I don't think they have much trouble, and I actually think Kansas might can beat St. John's in the second round. All right, so next up we got another one that might have some upside potential. Yale and Texas A&M. Yale 22-7, A&M 22-10. A&M, though, from what I've heard, cannot shoot at all. Led by Wade Taylor, though, he can play, but they lead the, I think, country in offensive rebounds, but it's because they miss so many shots. A&M favored by 7.5, being picked 78% of the time. Let's look at Yale's schedule, see if they played anybody in the tournament. Single-digit loss to Purdue, so that's not bad. Beat Akron by 16. Akron is in the tournament. Other than that, not a lot. But they did go on a run last year. They had Danny Wolf went on a run. A&M, they're kind of a sleeper team for me. I don't love the team, but I think they could go on a run if Wade Taylor gets hot enough. Schedule-wise, they beat Ohio State, lost to Oregon, beat Creighton, beat Tech, beat Purdue. So that's some really good wins right there. Tech, Purdue, and Creighton in particular. Rutgers is talented. Beat Texas, Oklahoma. Loss-wise in the SEC play, Alabama, Kentucky, Texas. This little stretch right here, not very good. But again, those are all tournament teams. So they're not coming in the hottest, but they can play as evident by those wins. Creighton, Tech, Purdue. So give me A&M here. I think they're a little too much, but A&M's going to have to clean it up if they want to go even further than this. All right, next up, we've got Drake, Missouri. Should be a good matchup. Drake being picked a lot as a Cinderella team. Missouri, not the hottest team in the country. A lot of these SEC teams kind of coming in not super hot, but Missouri favored 6.5, being picked 72% of the time. Now, I did watch Drake play in their tournament. I wasn't super impressed. Yes, they're good, but they're not athletic. Like, they can beat you. They've got a lot of D2 guys, but with their lack of athleticism, I wonder if they'll struggle with some of these bigger SEC top teams, that are going to be physical, going to be fast, going to be big. And Drake, you got to wonder, their head coach is being thrown around a lot for these jobs, whether it's Indiana, Iowa, anywhere, Virginia, NC State, whatever. Is his mind on something else? I mean, you look back to last year, Drake, kind of a common pick to go far in the first round, or in the NCAA tournament, but at the same time, it didn't happen because they got dipped. And then Darian Devries went to West Virginia, rest is history. But let's look at Drake's schedule, see if they play anybody in the tournament. Wins over Miami, FAU, did beat Vanderbilt, so that's a tournament NCAA tournament team win. Beat Kansas State, so they've got some good wins under the belt against power conference schools, and FAU's a solid usual team. Belmont, usually a solid team. They did beat Bradley, which was kind of on the bubble conversation. As for Missouri, kind of similar to Arkansas and A&M, not coming in the hottest, but they do have some good wins. Let's see, a loss to Memphis at the beginning of the year, good Memphis team. Wins over Kansas. Lost to Illinois, and then in SEC play, beat Florida, beat Ole Miss, Mississippi State. I'm trying to find some other, beat Alabama. So, I mean, they've got good wins, but again, this stretch right here, they're not hot. They've lost, 4 out of the last 5, 6 out of the last 8. So they're not coming in super hot, but I think Missouri, again, is athletic enough, good enough to give Drake issues. I don't think Drake can beat Missouri. I think if they would have got a better matchup, Drake could have won, but they play a slow pace. Missouri tries to play fast. It's kind of a clashing of play styles. I'll be curious to see how it goes. All right, next up, we've got UCLA and Utah State. Let me pull this one up. Haven't been super impressed with either one of these teams, actually, when I've watched them. UCLA 22-10, Utah State 26-7. Now, the Mountain West historically doesn't have a lot of luck when getting to the tournament the past few years. Looks like UCLA favored by 5.5, being picked 62% of the time. I think UCLA kind of has the recipe for one of those teams that they're good enough and steady enough to not lose round 1. But after that, they're probably going to get just the crap beat out of them in round 2. But let's look at Utah State's schedule first. Mountain West ended up sneaking 4 teams in, though. Utah State went over Iowa, North Texas, St. Mary's and San Diego State. Those are 2 good wins there. Did lose to UC San Diego by 2. So that kind of makes me question them a little bit. Beat Montana. Also, that's a tournament team. Mountain West-wise, lost to UNLV, New Mexico again. Boise, Colorado State. They did beat Colorado State and Boise, though, so they kind of split with them. I guess they did not beat New Mexico, though. All right, so good wins, kind of. Depends on your thoughts on the Mountain West. As for UCLA, probably nothing spectacular. There's some rumors Mick Cronin might be out, might be looking for another job. Wins over Oregon, Arizona, Gonzaga. close loss to North Carolina, win over Wisconsin, Oregon, Michigan State. So some really good wins here. But also lately haven't been super hot against good teams. So I think UCLA wins this one. I haven't been impressed with Utah State as far as their athleticism. They look like they're slow to me from what I've seen. Now, I don't think UCLA is the best team ever. I think they'll probably win this game and then get the crap hit on by Tennessee in the second round. But as right now, I'm leaning UCLA. I don't think Utah State can really play with them, but I'm not super impressed with UCLA either, so this could be a good one. All right, next up, St. John's and Omaha. Apparently, it's not going to pull that up. All right. There we go. All right, St. John's winners of the Big East coming in at 30-4. Omaha 22-12. Looks like St. John's favored by 17 and a half, 18 and a half. Being picked 96% of the time. Let's look at Omaha's schedule. Not a very good record, though. Losses to Minnesota, close loss to UNLV. Those are two solid teams. 30-point loss to Iowa State. Lost to Akron by 8. That's a tournament team. St. John's, I'm not similar with the Mountain West. I'm not sure what to think on the Big East. I think they could be good. I think they could be nothing. I'm not really sure. Let's see. St. John's went over New Mexico, lost to Baylor, lost to Georgia, beat Bryant. That's a tournament team. Lost to Creighton, beat Xavier, Villanova, two bubble teams, beat Marquette, beat UConn, beat Creighton. So I mean, they beat everybody in the Big East. That's for sure. But I don't know. I'm a little skeptical on St. John's ceiling. I don't think they'll struggle in this game. But as far as the second round and Sweet 16 going forward, I think they might struggle. But again, that kind of depends on your thoughts on the Big East. And I haven't been super impressed or super high on them. I don't know. I'm a little skeptical on them. I don't think that St. John's will have an issue with Omaha, but again, second round, depending on who they get, I think it's either who do they got second round? Let me pull that up. Looks like they've got Kansas or Arkansas. Yes, I mean Kansas. I think Kansas could give them a run. Not saying they would beat them necessarily, but I think Kansas, they've got size, they've got experience, they've got guys that have been there before. You know, I wouldn't be shocked if somehow Kansas ended up giving them a run for their money in the second round, but we'll see. I don't think they'll have any trouble with Omaha, though. All right, so next game we've got UC San Diego and Michigan. Let's see. UC San Diego going to be a common upset pick. Watched them play UC Irvine, I guess, the other day in their tournament, the Big West tournament. But I don't know. I think Michigan's probably going to have too much size for them. This is a close game spread-wise, though. Looks like Michigan favored by 2.5, being picked 66% of the time. UC San Diego, though, has a good record. They've got some good wins. Let's see. Close loss to San Diego State. San Diego State playing the night, actually, against North Carolina. Went over a solid James Madison team, which has a good record. Did beat Utah State, which we just talked about. And then they beat UC Irvine, which was kind of bubble-ish. And then as for Michigan, really hot going in. Winners of the Big Ten. New squad, new coach, Dusty May. Indiana kind of missed the boat on that one as far as hiring the right coach. I mean, I think Dusty May was kind of a can't-miss hire, and they screwed it up, I think, by waiting a year to fire Mike Woodson. And Dusty May brings in some different guys. Danny Wolf from Yale brings Vlad Golden with him from FAU. FAU, a lot of those guys are from that Final Four run are actually in the tournament this year on different teams. You've got Martin on Florida. You've got Davis on Arkansas. You've got who else we got here? Nick Boyd on San Diego State. Then you got Golden on Michigan. Dylan Hackworth, what's going on, man? Welcome. We beat Michigan, Woo Pig Suey. All right, so Arkansas did beat Michigan. You can see right there, 89-87. Hackworth says, Dylan says Arkansas is winning it all this year. We'll see. I don't know. You have to They got to beat Kansas. Then they got St. John's, I guess, after that one. Gonna be tough. But I think Michigan beats UC San Diego, no issue. I think they have too much size inside with Golden and Wolf. I don't think they'll have a problem. Both those guys have experience in the tournament. They've been on runs before, and Dusty May has this team rolling at the right time. Now, they have a lot of close wins, so that could be good, could be bad, because they play tight games. But also, if they are in a tie game in the tournament, that means they've been there before. They can probably win it. Michigan, I've got right now, I think in the Sweet 16, I think they can give Auburn a run for their money in that Sweet 16 matchup. All right, so next up here, we've got UNCW and Texas Tech. Let's pull this one up. Texas Tech is rolling right now. Will they get second or third, I think, in the Big Ten? Oh, there it was, my bad. Second in the Big 12. All right, Dylan says he thinks Arkansas will beat Kansas. I think it'll be a pretty good game. They've got Boogie Flan coming back. So that could be good, could be bad. I know they haven't had too much success with him in the lineup, but they definitely got talent. That's a game I want to watch, though. That's going to be a good game for sure. UNC Wilmington coming in at 27-7. Texas Tech 25-8. Tech favored by 15.5, being picked 92% of the time. Let's look at UNC Wilmington's schedule first. Let's see. Tournament-wise, lost to Kansas by 18, lost to Colgate. That's not a tournament team. So really just Kansas, it looks like, from what I'm seeing tournament-wise. But some solid wins over, some American Conference teams, App State, East Carolina. As for Texas Tech, pretty good this year. JT Toppin coming over for New Mexico has really been a force for Texas Tech. Grant McCaslin has those guys rolling. Non-conference-wise, lost to St. Joseph's, which is kind of on the bubble. Lost to A&M. And then in Big 12 play, some questionable losses, UCF in particular, and TCU. But win-wise, they are one of the few teams that has beaten Houston, which is obviously not easy to do. Went over Kansas. Didn't beat Arizona, it doesn't look like, but they did beat BYU. BYU, Houston. Didn't beat Iowa State either, did they? Nope. So Tech, a lot of people were saying they probably should have been the last 2 seed. I don't know if they necessarily deserve that necessarily, but a lot of people, that's what they're saying. Let me pull up this bracket real quick so we can all look at it together. While we're doing that, let me go ahead and show you. This is the slate of games that we were all just covering for Thursday's games. Now tonight and tomorrow, we've got the first 4 games. We've got, let's see, St. Francis, Alabama State, North Carolina, San Diego State. I probably lean North Carolina, but San Diego State has the better wins. And then tomorrow, Xavier and Texas. I mean, if Texas loses that one, they're probably firing Rodney Terry, and they might be bringing in Sean Miller as their next head coach. I'm not really sure on that one. But there's the slate of games for Thursday, kicking off at 12:15, Creighton and Louisville. Some brackets going to be busted quick. Here we go. All right, then as far as what the bracket is looking like, we'll see. I mean, I think my first impressions, I haven't done another one, so I usually do one 30 minutes right after the bracket is revealed. Then after that, I'll do one the day before, the night before, going into Thursday. Usually one of those first 4 games, whether one of those playing games, one of those teams is going to go on a run, probably at least win their first round matchup, whether that's San Diego State, North Carolina, Texas, or Xavier. One of them's probably going on a run. But which one of those is it? I don't know. I mean, Texas has potential, but they've been really hit and miss. Dylan says, would you accept the Texas job? I think it's a good job. You can win it. Chris Beard had a lot of success there, but I don't know what way they're going to go. I think they definitely need to make a change, though. Rodney Terry, I haven't been impressed with him. I think he's kind of a clown. I mean, you watched him that game after they beat A&M. He was mocking the crowd and stuff. I haven't been very impressed with Rodney Terry. I don't really like him. So I think Texas definitely needs to make a change. They have no recruiting class next year, so it's not going to matter if you win a couple games and then fire him. It's not going to be a big deal. Now, who could they hire? I don't know. The hire I would like to see them go after is probably TJ Otzelberger at Iowa State. I don't know if he would leave Iowa State, but that's a guy that is pretty consistent and pretty good. So I would like to see them go that direction. As far as realistic was, I mean, it sounds like probably, Sean Miller's definitely on the candidate list. I mean, they were saying a couple years ago, like that year Chris Beard got knocked out as far as Rodney Terry replacing him. They were acting like if Sean Miller and Xavier would have beat him in the tournament that year, that potentially it would have been his job. But the thing with that one was, his job lost Rodney Terry. They lost to Rodney Terry in the tournament in the Sweet 16. Xavier did. So they keep Rodney Terry, and then we're here where we are now. I would probably go a different direction. I don't know if I'd go Sean Miller. He was good at Arizona, but Xavier, he's kind of been up and down. But I don't know who they should hire. I mean, Will Wade is pretty solid, I guess, but I feel like they could make a home run hire and go hire somebody that kind of like they did with Chris Beard. Like he's had success at a power job. You bring him in. That's why I kind of like the TJ Otzelberger angle. But we'll see. I think Indiana and Iowa are open right now. NC State, Virginia. So there's a lot of jobs open right now. Kind of got your pick of the litter. I wouldn't hire like the Drake coach. I wouldn't do that. I don't know. Yeah, you can go any which direction. Yeah, I would take the job though. I'd take it. We'd be in the national championship tomorrow. But yeah, looking at the bracket, I think my Final Four first round, I had Auburn out of the South. I think I had who did I have out of the East? I think it was Arizona actually. I had Arizona. Caleb Love. I mean, you never know. Him and Jaden Bradley have made runs at different schools before. San Diego State, North Carolina. So I wouldn't be shocked if they get hot and go on a run. Also, wouldn't be shocked if they lose in the first round. And then in the South, I think no, my bad. I already did that. In the West, I think I had Florida advancing. The game I'm most intrigued by is these two right here. Memphis, Colorado State, and Maryland, Grand Canyon. I don't know who's going to win these two. Memphis, I think if Tyrese Hunter is healthy, I think they can win that one. But Maryland, Grand Canyon's one to watch for me. I'll preview that one probably tomorrow. But with that one, I mean, Ty and Grant Foster, they went on a run last year in the tournament, and he's back now. He missed a lot of the regular season, the conference season with an injury or with a heart issue, I think. But I think Grand Canyon is good enough to beat Maryland and then maybe beat Memphis or Colorado State. But I wouldn't be shocked if we got a Colorado State Grand Canyon matchup in the round of 32. Not saying either one of them are going to beat Florida, but that would be a pretty good matchup. Colorado State, Memphis is kind of iffy. Both of them are hot. If Tyrese Hunter is healthy, I think Memphis will win that one because they've won so many good games this year. But if he is out, wouldn't be shocked because PJ Haggerty from Memphis is good, but Colorado State, their best player is pretty good too, man. I don't know. But I would probably lean Florida out of the West. The Midwest, Houston, I can't really buy the hype. I think it's either going to be Clemson or Tennessee probably. Houston always seems to find a way to squander the opportunity. So I think Clemson or Tennessee comes out of that one. And then once we get there, I don't know. It could be anybody's ball game. But we'll see, though. We got some tip-off games coming tonight. Let's see. First four, like I said, starting in a couple hours or an hour or two with the 16 seeds. Not too interested in those, but the 11 games are going to be pretty interesting to watch. I'm ready to see those, so we'll see. But that's it for today. That's previewing on Thursday game. So what do you think? Who's your Final Four? Let me know your final predictions down in the comment section below. Let me know your Final Four. If you hadn't yet, hit that thumbs up and subscribe for me. But till next time, AG out.